The Anemo Archon Barbatos is a carefree god who values freedom over all else. He doesn't directly rule over the people of Mondstadt, the Nation of Wind, which leads him to being the weakest among the 7 Archons. However, I believe there's more to him than meets the eye. In this video, I'll briefly go over the history of Barbatos, and possible connections to Khaenri'ah, Enkanomiya, and the God of Time. Also, if you like this video, consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, let's move right on and get into the video. Barbatos is the Anemo Archon of the 7. He rules over the nation of Mondstadt, home to the City of Freedom. However, his rule is not direct, as he lets his people rule over themselves. This is because he has seen what can happen when a god rules over their people directly, as seen in Old Mondstadt with Decarabian. 2,600 years ago, Decarabian ruled over Old Mondstadt, the ruins of which are now known as Storm Terrace Lair. In his time, Decarabian closed off the city with a wind barrier to protect his people from the blizzards of his rival Andrias. However, the people saw him as too controlling, and began a rebellion against him. A wind spirit was among those who joined in the rebellion. This wind spirit was part of the 1,000 winds that flow throughout Mondstadt. After Decarabian was defeated, the wind spirit ascended to godhood and became Barbatos, the Anemo Archon. He then changed the entire landscape of Mondstadt and founded the current city on an island in Cider Lake. After this, he left the city to the people. He did return a few times after this, of course. Once was when the Lawrence clan took over the city during the aristocracy, and he returned to inspire Vanessa to start another rebellion against them. He returned again later to fight against Durin with Dvalin. The results of the battle caused him to fall into a deep slumber though. 500 years later, around the time the game's story begins, he awakens again, and that's when the prologue of Genshin Impact begins. So with the history of Barbatos covered, let's now get into speculation, beginning with the history of the 1,000 Winds and how Barbatos may be a fragment of the God of Time. The depths of Enkanomiya is probably the last place you'd expect a reference to Mondstadt to be. However, in the book, Hydrological Studies in Bayakakoku, it is explained that Istaroth, or the God of Time, has been poetically rendered as the 1,000 Winds, or the 1,000 Winds of Time. Now, the God of Time has been mentioned prior to this, in the world quest Time and Wind. In this quest, the traveler investigates the sundial on the mysterious island west of Mondstadt, and also fights an Eye of the Storm. The most interesting part about this quest, however, is a faint voice that says, "An ancient tale comes whist in the wind. In time, it will grow and sprout once again." I believe that this voice may belong to the God of Time themselves, hinting that we will meet them, or have met a part of them at some point. A long time ago, this god was known and worshipped by the people of Mondstadt, but was eventually forgotten about. Now the voice is saying that the God of Time will rise again, from an ancient tale whisked in the wind. Now, remember earlier that I said Barbatos was once a wind spirit who was but a fragment of the 1,000 Winds. This could possibly mean that Barbatos is a part of the God of Time themselves, as the God of Time was known poetically as the 1,000 Winds. If this is true, then eventually, it could be Venti who introduces us to the truth behind the God of Time. I said earlier that the God of Time was mentioned in a book found in Enkanomiya, but I do not believe that is the only relation to the Abyss that Barbatos has. His connection to the God of Time in Enkanomiya is quite important, but for now, let's take a look at another abyssal nation. Let's see how Mondstadt and Khaenri'ah are connected. "500 years ago, the ancient nation known as Khaenri'ah fell during the Cataclysm. However, traces of this advanced nation still live on throughout Teyvat, and no region has more traces of this area than Mondstadt. Let's go over each way that they are connected. To begin, we have met a few characters that are from or are related to Khaenri'ah in some way that reside in Mondstadt. Kaya is from Khaenri'ah, or at least a descendant of those from that region. Albedo was created by Rhindaughter, a brilliant alchemist from Khaenri'ah. And finally, we met Dainsleif, the Twilight Sword of Khaenri'ah, for the first time in a tavern in Mondstadt. Beyond characters, the Abyss Order also seems to thrive in Mondstadt, with them being a main part of the Mondstadt Archon quests. The Abyss Order was originally the people of Conria, who during the Cataclysm were cursed into becoming what they are today. On top of this, the first Field Tiller, an experimental ruin guard with no restrictions on its power, was located atop Stormterror's lair. Speaking of the Abyss Order, I found something quite interesting on one of my random browsing trips online while writing this video. According to the in-game book Hilichurl Ballad Selection, there are tribes of Hilichurls that actually worship the Anemo Archon. While I thought this kind of cute at first, my concerns were raised soon after. Why would Hilichurls, the former people of Conria, worship one of the gods who fought against their nation 500 years ago? I'll go into my thoughts on this in the next section. Now, Mondstadt is not just connected to Conria and Enkanomiya alone. The two abyssal nations have reference to each other as well. Ruin guards and members of the Abyss Order exist in Enkanomiya, and in some quests there was mention of ambassadors from Conria coming to Enkanomiya. So now, let's just go over who is central to all of this. Barbatos. By this point, I believe that it is evident that all three of these nations are connected in some way, and the more I looked into it, the more I realized who was behind all of these connections. It is none other than Barbatos, the Anemo Archon, perhaps with some help from the God of Time. Honestly, when I started writing this video, I wasn't sure if the idea was all that good. Most of my thoughts didn't seem like they connected, but as I began to look deeper into it, I realized that Barbatos may have some major secrets that he's hiding. In fact, the freedom-loving god could in fact be against Celestia itself, and may even side with the Abyss in some way. It wouldn't be his first tale of rebellion, or even his second. He is the god of freedom after all. Perhaps he desires a world free from Celestia's reign. As a wind spirit, he would have seen countless events unfolding throughout the years before he ascended to the level of Anemo Archon. Perhaps during this time he saw something that truly turned him against the heavens. However, it does leave me to wonder why exactly he and the Tsaritsa aren't on good terms. It seems to me they'd have similar goals here. I believe I know why though, in that the overwhelming evidence of Barbatos' ties to the Abyss, including Conria and Enkanomiya, makes the Tsaritsa not like him so much. His ties to the Abyssal Nations could also explain why the Hilichurls and Mondstadt appear to worship him as well. In the end, I believe that Venti will hold a key role in the endgame of the story. His connections to the Abyssal Nations, the God of Time, and his relations to some of the other Archons are definitely going to be key points going forward, especially towards the end of the game. I just hope we're able to get an extension to Venti's story sometime soon. Recently, the game has been dropping countless hints about his connections to the Abyssal Nations, and it makes me wonder just what his intentions truly are. I'd love to hear your ideas about this as well. I feel as though there's so much more that I've missed with how big this theory could be. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you all in the next video.